Hello everyone and welcome back to Classic Comics, and this time I'm reviewing Star Trek Picard Episode 3, The End is the Beginning. So, the second episode was a little better than the first, I guess, but this show still has a lot of problems. The narrative just doesn't make a lot of sense, for the most part, to be honest. But we'll see if it gets any better. So, we open 14 years ago at Starfleet HQ, and Raffi is sitting out front waiting for Picard. Picard comes out, and we find out that Starfleet has refused to continue the rescue mission to save the Romulans after the synths attacked the shipyards and destroyed all the ships. And Picard has resigned in protest. So Raffi tries to persuade him to try something else. But Picard is out of ideas. And then Raffi is summoned to meet with Starfleet, and we later find out she's been kicked out of Starfleet because... why? I mean, why is she kicked out of Starfleet? Because reasons, that's why. I mean, what did she do? And doesn't Starfleet have some kind of judge advocate that Starfleet personnel can go to help in these situations? Can Starfleet just kick people out on a whim? Because the military today sure can't do that. We then move to Picard's present, and he goes out to Raffi's place where she lives alone in the desert. Who is she, Ben Kenobi? And she greets Jean-Luc with a phaser rifle and tells Picard to piss off like every other female authority figure in the show has, because she blames him for being kicked out of Starfleet, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why does she blame him? Because reasons, that's why. Now, of course, people who are longtime Trek fans will notice the location where Raffi's place is. Her place is at Vasquez Rocks, which, if you've watched the original Star Trek show, they filmed out there for a lot of episodes. Most famously, they filmed the Star Trek episode Arena at Vasquez Rocks. That's, it's a really kind of a special episode to me, because when I first started watching Star Trek back in and this is way back, in 1974, when I was 6-7 years old, Arena was the first episode that I ever saw. So seeing that, kind of brought back the member berries. Why is she so pissed at him? Well, and what did he do? He didn't trick her or anything. She was supportive of the whole Romulan rescue thing, so why is she faulting him? This is part of the problem with this show. Everybody acts like an angst-ridden teen and gets upset for little to no reason. So anyway, Picard bribes her with some booze, and they have a drink together, and she smokes some meth or crack or something. And Picard says he needs a ship, and she knows a ship that can take him. We then go to the Borg cube, and we see Hugh, the former Borg, who appeared in some episodes of Next Generation, most notably the episode I, Borg, from the 5th season of Next Gen. And he sees Soji interacting with the former Borg drones on the cube ship, and he praises her work with the drones because sure, why not? Then we go to the Daystrom Institute, and Dr. Girardi is approached by Commodore O and wants to know about her meeting with Picard. And she's wearing sunglasses. Why? The Vulcans come from a world where the sun is much more intense than it is here on Earth. And the Vulcans have developed an inner eyelid that protects their eyes from bright light. So she really doesn't need sunglasses. And anyway, it isn't even that bright. And they're standing in the shade under a tree. So why sunglasses? Well, 'cause reasons, I guess. Is this supposed to be some kind of half-assed disguise? Is she trying to move about unnoticed? If that's the case, then, maybe don't wear your Starfleet uniform if you're trying to go around unnoticed, you frickin' idiot. What's she gonna do next? Spy on people by sitting on a park bench and pretending to read a newspaper that has a hole cut in it? Then Jean-Luc beams up to the ship that Raffi told him about, and it's painted like Eddie Van Halen's guitar. I'm not even kidding. As for the ship, it's fine, I guess. It doesn't really look like a Star Trek ship, really. It looks like something from, I don't know, Babylon 5 maybe. And then we meet Captain Rios, and he's got a piece of shrapnel embedded in his right shoulder, and I mean right on the joint. And it's as if they got the world's most interesting man to be the captain of the ship. He's got a beard, and he likes cigars, and he likes whiskey, or whatever it is he's drinking. And he pours a glass of whiskey, and he pours it on his wound because he's a manly man doing manly things. And they want him to be Logan so badly. And he's got a book of Spanish philosophy, and his ship is called La Sirena, the Siren. And of course, you can't help but notice that this kind of echoes The Expanse, which also has a ship with a Spanish name and a captain with dark hair and a beard. I wonder what other franchises they're going to wreck before this is over. And Captain Rios has a couple of holograms, and they look like him, so it's very confusing. Meanwhile, Rafi does some digging and figures out that Bruce Maddox, the guy who made the synths, is living on a planet called Free Cloud, which sounds like some kind of online startup that is offering cheap online data storage, or some kind of hippie commune in Colorado where they gaze at their navels all day and smoke hemp or something. Then we go back to Picard's vineyard, and he has a conversation with his Irish Romulan housekeeper / covert agent. And he tells her he's going to be leaving on the La Sirena. And she's like, "Oh, sure, look it. Make sure you bring a jumper with you. It's fierce weather out there, and you'll get that dust going around if you aren't careful. We always took our jumpers with us in the Tal Shiar, don't you know?" Then we go back to the Borg cube, and there's a short scene where the Romulan woman that Soji is trying to help grabs a gun and threatens to kill her. Then we go back to Picard's vineyard, and we have another attack by the Romulans, and they try to kill Picard, I guess, but Picard's Romulan servants defend him. And these Romulan goons continue to be totally ineffective. This is the third or fourth time they've shown up to try and kill people, but they basically just keep getting their butts kicked. And Picard and Lursa, the housekeeper, covert agent, they pull phasers out from under the underside of a desk and shoot a couple of the Romulans. And, can I ask a question here? If Earth is this socialist paradise where there's no hunger and no crime and no war and all that, then why does everyone seem to have a weapon in their home? Picard has a couple. Rafi has one. Why do they need them if Earth is this utopia and everything is provided to them? Can someone answer me that, please? And then Dr. Jurati just shows up out of nowhere and shoots one too, because, yeah, sure, why not? Then they interrogate one of the Romulan goons, and they probably ask him if he was trained by the Empire because he and his fellow goons are that incompetent. And he starts talking about how Soji, is apparently the end of everything, and they cut back and forth between Picard's home and the Borg cube, and the Romulan woman that Soji was talking to starts ranting about the same thing and then threatens to shoot Soji, and then the Romulan Picard and his servants took prisoner, spit some acid again, and then commits suicide. And then Soji calls her mother, who I'm guessing isn't real because, as we know, Soji was just created in a lab a few years ago by Maddox. So is this mother some kind of a hologram, or is she a real person? I mean, we don't know. And then that Romulan twink, Narek, shows up and continues to manipulate her and tells her that he's falling in love with her and he's really just annoying. And then we see Narek talking to Lieutenant Rizzo again, who's now there, apparently. And here's another thing. Now, back on Earth, in the first episode, these people tried to abduct Dodge. They popped up and tried to kidnap her. Why don't they just do that with Soji? Why don't they just have Narek slap a comm badge on her when he and Soji are alone and then just beam her out of there and then take off with her and they can interrogate her at their leisure? Why are they playing these games? Because reasons, that's why. On Earth, they're just attacking everyone right and left. Why are they being so low-key here on the Borg cube? And then Picard and Jurati beam up to the La Sirena, and Picard says, "Engage." And then the Star Trek theme plays. And wow, that just really left me feeling so frustrated with this show. For a moment, it makes you think about how good this show could have been instead of what we're getting. And also, you know, thinking about the Zat Vash, I can't help but wondering how they came by that name. Because back in the 3rd season of Next Generation, there was an episode called Captain's Holiday. And in that episode, Picard goes to Risa, and he winds up getting involved with a woman named Vash. I mean, could they have gotten the name from her, you know, from that episode? Nah, it's probably just a coincidence, because it's probably not in Picard's Wikipedia entry. And if it's not in the Wikipedia entry, then the clowns making the show probably don't know anything about it. It's sad to see Star Trek now simply cribbing from other sci-fi shows for ideas. Star Trek used to be the trendsetter, the gold standard of science fiction that every other franchise was judged by, but that was before Abrams and his whole crew came along and took control of Star Trek. And now they've spread out all over Hollywood. Abrams, Kurtzman, Lindelhoff, and the rest of that bad robot crew. And they seem determined to rat fuck every other popular genre franchise until it's just a parody of what it once was. Stripped of all their brilliance, the cleverness and inspiration, their original intent and design, and most of all, their intelligence. These people are just tourists. They're tricksters. They glom onto these franchises because they have a built-in audience and a recognizable and marketable name that they can sell. But they really don't give a shit about these properties. They don't have any emotional investment in them, the way that people who have followed these franchises their whole lives do. All right. So, if you like this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel before you go. Also, hit the bell for notifications, and please share the video as well, as that really helps. And you can look me up on Twitter at Comics Classic, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.